I'm waiting for you. Not the version of you that keeps making excuses. Not the version that keeps looking over your shoulder, wondering if the world has already decided your fate. I'm waiting for the one who finally understands that everything you've been searching for has been searching for you too. Every opportunity, every breakthrough, every moment that changes a life forever. They don't belong to the fastest. They belong to the person who refuses to quit before the miracle becomes visible. Right now, while you are listening to these words, somewhere a door is preparing to open. Somewhere a conversation is about to happen. Somewhere a decision is being made that could completely alter the direction of your life. The question is not whether opportunity exists. The question is whether the person standing in front of that opportunity will still be the fearful version of you, or the unstoppable one you were born to become. I've watched thousands of people chase success. Most of them never failed because they lacked intelligence. They failed because they arrived too early with impatience, or too late with regret. They spent years preparing for yesterday while tomorrow quietly walked past them. They waited for confidence before taking action, never realizing confidence is the reward for courage, not the requirement. But something about your journey is different. You didn't arrive here by accident. Every disappointment you've carried, every sleepless night you've survived, every rejection that felt like the end of your story has been shaping something far greater than you can currently see. Pain has been introducing you to your future identity. Every challenge has been stripping away the person you no longer need to be. You think you've been waiting for success. Successes has been waiting for you. Think about that. The life you dream about cannot be handed to the version of you who still doubts every decision. Wealth cannot stay in the hands of someone who believes they don't deserve it. Influence cannot remain with someone who hides from responsibility. Greatness doesn't reject people. It simply waits until they become capable of carrying its weight. That's why your journey has felt so difficult. Not because life was punishing you, because life was preparing you. Imagine a blacksmith placing steel into blazing fire. The steel doesn't understand why the heat keeps increasing. It doesn't know why the hammer strikes again and again. All it feels is pressure. But the blacksmith sees something the steel cannot. Every strike creates strength. Every flame removes weakness. Every moment of discomfort shapes a masterpiece. Your life has followed the same pattern. Every setback has been a hidden investment. Every delay has been invisible preparation. Every closed door has redirected you toward one that required a stronger version of yourself. Most people misinterpret delays. They assume waiting means nothing is happening, but nature teaches the opposite lesson. Before a tree breaks through the surface, its roots spend months growing where nobody applauds. Before sunrise fills the sky with light, the night reaches its darkest point. Before an eagle soars above mountains, it spends countless hours inside a confined shell. Growth is almost always invisible before it becomes undeniable. Remember this whenever impatience whispers that you're falling behind. You are not behind, you are becoming. The world celebrates results but ignores preparation. It applauds victories but forgets the years of discipline that created them. Everyone wants the crown. Very few are willing to endure becoming the person capable of wearing it. That's why extraordinary lives remain rare, because extraordinary people choose consistency when nobody is watching. They continue after excitement disappears. They move forward while others negotiate with their excuses. Every morning they make one simple decision. I will become someone my future cannot exist without. Read those words again inside your mind. Become someone your future cannot exist without. Because your future isn't built by hope. It's built by identity. When your identity changes, your habits follow. When your habits change, your standards rise. When your standards rise, your entire life begins responding differently. Money notices discipline. Opportunity notices preparation. People notice confidence. Life notices persistence. Everything changes when you change. I learned this lesson the hard way. There was a season when every plan I touched seemed to collapse. Meetings ended with rejection. Investments disappeared. Friends quietly distanced themselves because believing in me became inconvenient. People looked at the results and assumed they understood my potential. They were measuring my present. I was building my future. Every no became another brick. Every criticism became another workout for my mindset. Every failure became another mentor wearing a different disguise. Eventually, something extraordinary happened. Nothing around me changed overnight. I changed. The fear that once controlled every decision became curiosity. The uncertainty that once exhausted me became fuel. The obstacles that once stopped me became evidence that I was finally walking a path worth pursuing. That is the moment everything begins to shift, not when circumstances improve, when your perspective evolves. Because reality often follows the stories you consistently tell yourself. If every morning you tell yourself you're unlucky, your brain will spend the day searching for proof. If every morning you remind yourself that you are becoming stronger, wiser, more disciplined, and more valuable, your mind begins noticing opportunities that fear once kept invisible. Your focus creates your future. This is why protecting your mind is one of the greatest investments you will ever make. Guard what enters it, protect what remains inside it. Feed it visions larger than your fears. Speak words that build rather than destroy. Your subconscious listens to every conversation you have with yourself. Make sure you're giving it instructions worthy of your destiny. Look around. Most people spend their lives reacting. Few spend their lives creating. Reacting gives circumstances authority. Creating gives purpose authority. One mindset waits for permission. The other writes its own invitation. Which person do you want to become? The one who spends years explaining why life wasn't fair, or the one whose story inspires strangers decades from now? Every legend faced moments that looked ordinary while they were living them. The difference wasn't talent, it was interpretation. Where others saw endings, they saw beginnings. Where others saw limitations, they saw hidden possibilities. Where others heard silence, they heard preparation. Perhaps that's exactly where you are today. Perhaps what feels empty is actually being filled. Perhaps what feels delayed is actually being perfected. Perhaps the life you've been praying for has been standing just beyond the version of yourself you're finally ready to leave behind, because I am waiting for you. Not the person controlled by fear. Not the person who keeps asking for permission to dream bigger. Not the person who believes circumstances decide identity. I'm waiting for the version of you who walks into every room carrying certainty instead of doubt, who treats every setback as tuition rather than tragedy, who understands that abundance begins in the mind long before it appears in the bank account, and who finally realizes that destiny has never been running away. It has simply been waiting for you to catch up to the person you were always capable of becoming. The moment you understand that truth, everything begins to move differently. You stop chasing validation, because you discover something far more valuable than applause. You begin chasing alignment. Alignment between your vision and your actions. Alignment between your words and your discipline. Alignment between the person you claim you want to become and the choices you make when nobody is watching. That is where extraordinary lives are built. Most people believe success is created in public. It isn't. Success is born in the silent hours when the world has stopped paying attention. It is created in mornings when your alarm rings and every excuse begs you to stay where you are. It is forged in evenings when you are exhausted, yet you choose to learn one more lesson, take one more step, make one more call, write one more page, or invest one more hour into your future. Those moments never trend online, but they change lives forever. There is a room you have never seen. Imagine walking toward a massive set of doors made of steel. Behind those doors is everything you've ever imagined, the life of freedom, the people you will inspire, the wealth that allows you to build instead of merely survive, the peace that comes from knowing you fulfilled your purpose, the legacy that continues long after your name is spoken for the last time. You reach for the handle, it doesn't move. You push harder, still nothing. Frustrated, you begin to wonder if the room was ever meant for you. Then someone whispers something you'll never forget. The door isn't locked because you're unworthy. It's locked because you're unfinished. Think about that. If the door opened too soon, your habits would destroy what your dreams created. If success arrived before discipline, comfort would replace hunger. If influence arrived before wisdom, pride would replace purpose. Some blessings are delayed because they require a stronger foundation. The tallest skyscraper disappears into the clouds because their foundations disappears into the earth. Nobody celebrates the foundation, yet without it, the building collapses. Your unseen work is your foundation. Every book you read, every skill you practice, every sacrifice you make, every temptation you resist, every promise you keep to yourself. These are not small actions, they are votes for the future version of you. And every vote matters. Too many people underestimate the power of consistency because they are addicted to dramatic moments. They want one opportunity that changes everything overnight. They want one investment, one speech, one conversation, one lucky break. But life rarely works that way. Mountains are carved one drop of water at a time. Masterpieces are painted one brushstroke at a time. Empires are built one disciplined decision at a time. Your future is not hiding inside one giant moment. It is quietly accumulating through thousands of ordinary choices. That realization changes everything. You stop asking, "How do I become successful?" Instead, you ask, "What would the successful version of me choose today?" That question has power. Because the future doesn't arrive randomly, it arrives through repetition. If your daily routine looks like the routine of someone who is defeated, don't expect a victorious future. If your daily routine resembles the habits of someone building greatness, the results eventually become impossible to hide. This is why identity always comes before achievement. A millionaire thinks differently before becoming wealthy. A leader serves before receiving recognition. A champion trains long before standing on the podium. The world notices the outcome. Life rewards the process. Never confuse visibility with value. Some of the most valuable seasons of your life will be invisible to everyone except you. People may misunderstand your solitude. Let them. They may question your discipline. Let them. They may laugh because they cannot see what you're building. Let them. An architect never argues with someone who cannot read the blueprint. Stay focused. The blueprint already exists inside your vision. Protect it. There will always be voices trying to convince you to shrink your dream into something they can understand. Don't. Average minds often mistake bold vision for unrealistic ambition. History tells a different story. Every breakthrough once sounded impossible. Every invention was once dismissed. Every leader was once doubted. Every empire began as an idea that only one person believed. Never measure your future by the imagination of someone who has accepted mediocrity. Instead, measure it by the size of your commitment. Commitment creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action changes reality. That is the cycle successful people learn to protect. But there is another cycle. Fear creates hesitation. Hesitation creates regret. Regret creates self-doubt. Self-doubt creates smaller dreams. Smaller dreams create smaller lives. Break that cycle today, not tomorrow, not next month, today, because every day you postpone becoming your future self is another day your future keeps waiting. Listen carefully. The universe doesn't reward potential. Life rewards execution. Ideas are everywhere. Execution is rare. Dreamers are common. Builders are unforgettable. Which one are you becoming? There will come a day when someone asks how you changed your life. They will expect you to tell them about one lucky opportunity, one perfect mentor, one magical breakthrough. Smile when that day comes, because you'll know the truth. Your life changed the moment you decided that your standards would no longer depend on your emotions. You worked when motivation disappeared. You stayed honest when shortcuts looked attractive. You remained patient while others chased instant gratification. You kept showing up after failure. That is how extraordinary lives are created. Not through occasional intensity, through relentless consistency. Never underestimate the quiet power of persistence. A river never argues with the mountain standing in its way. It simply keeps flowing, day after day, season after season, year after year. Eventually, even stone surrenders. Be like the river, stop announcing every goal, start becoming impossible to stop. Your actions should speak so loudly that your doubts can no longer be heard. Every morning you wake up with two invisible companions. One is your fear, the other is your future. Fear tells you to wait. Your future whispers, "I'm waiting for you." Fear says you're not ready. Your future says you'll become ready by moving. Fear points toward your past. Your future points toward your potential. Every decision strengthens one voice and weakens the other. Choose wisely, because one day you'll look back on this exact season. You'll either remember it as the chapter where you surrendered, or the chapter where you finally became the person your dreams had been waiting for all along. And when that day arrives, you'll realize something astonishing. The opportunity wasn't testing your talent, it was testing your commitment. The wealth wasn't avoiding you, it was searching for someone capable of multiplying it. The purpose wasn't hidden, it was patiently waiting for the courage only you could choose to unleash. So lift your head, straighten your shoulders, walk with intention, think with abundance, speak with conviction, act with discipline, because every step you take today echoes into a future that is already calling your name. And if you listen closely, beyond the noise of doubt, beyond the memories of failure, beyond every fear that once convinced you to settle, you will hear it clearer than ever before. I'm waiting for you. You hear those words because they have always been true. The future you dream about has never been running away from you. It has been standing at the edge of possibility, watching every decision you make, waiting for the day you finally stop introducing yourself as the person you used to be. Too many people carry an outdated identity. They wear old failures like permanent labels. They replay old mistakes until those mistakes become their personality. They keep introducing themselves to life through memories that no longer deserve a seat at the table. But listen carefully. Your history is a lesson. It is not your identity. The chapter that hurt you is not the title of your story. Ride that again in your heart. The chapter that hurt you is not the title of your story. Every sunrise proves that darkness has an expiration date. Every season proves that change is built into creation. Winter never asks permission to become spring. Night never negotiates with the morning. Transformation is one of life's oldest promises. Why should your life be any different? There comes a moment when every extraordinary person reaches a crossroads. One path is familiar. It feels safe because it asks nothing new of you. It allows you to keep blaming circumstances, waiting for perfect timing, hoping someone else will unlock your potential. The other path is uncertain. It demands courage before certainty, faith before evidence, action before applause. That path is uncomfortable. It is lonely. It is misunderstood. But it leads somewhere the first path never can. Freedom, not just financial freedom, freedom from self-doubt, freedom from limiting beliefs, freedom from the invisible chains that convinced you to live beneath your potential. Real wealth begins there. Money is powerful. Influence is valuable. Success is rewarding. But none of them compare to waking up every morning, knowing that fear is no longer making your decisions. That is a different kind of rich. That is the wealth no market can take away. There will always be people who misunderstand your transformation. Some will say you've changed. Smile. They're right. You were supposed to. Seeds change into forests. Coal changes into diamonds. Ordinary people become extraordinary through thousands of courageous decisions. Chant is not betrayal. Staying trapped is. Never apologize for outgrowing the version of yourself that could only survive. Your responsibility now is to become the version that creates, leads, serves, and inspires. Imagine meeting your future self, not 10 years from now, right now. They walk towards you with calm confidence. There is no arrogance in their eyes, only certainty, the certainty that comes from keeping promises to themselves. They have survived storms you cannot yet imagine, built businesses you have not yet started, inspired lives they have not yet met, cried opportunities where others only saw obstacles. They stand in front of you and ask one simple question. What are you waiting for? You search for an answer. You think about fear, about money, about timing, about approval, about uncertainty. But every excuse sounds smaller than it once did, because deep inside you already know the greatest obstacle was never outside you. It was the story you kept repeating inside your own mind. The moment that story changes, everything else begins changing with it. The world responds differently to people who believe they belong where they are going, not because life becomes easier, but because confidence changes behavior, behavior changes habits, habits change outcomes, outcomes change generations. Never forget this. Your success is bigger than you. Someone you've never met is waiting for your courage. Someone is waiting for the book you'll write, the company you'll build, the lesson you'll teach, the kindness you'll show, the opportunity you'll create, the example you'll become. When you refuse to grow, the world loses something it needed from you. Purpose is never personal. It always reaches beyond the person carrying it. That means every disciplined morning matters. Every difficult decision matters. Every act of integrity matters. Every moment you choose growth over comfort matters, because someone else's breakthrough may begin with yours. So stop measuring progress only by visible results. Measure it by the person you are becoming. Are you more disciplined than yesterday? More patient? More courageous? More focused? More grateful? More determined? If the answer is yes, then you are already succeeding. Success is not only a destination. It is an identity practiced daily, one decision at a time, one promise at a time, one courageous step at a time, and then, almost without realizing it, one ordinary morning becomes extraordinary. The phone rings, the opportunity arrives, the investor says yes. The client signs, the audience grows, the dream becomes reality. People call it luck. They never saw the years you spent preparing. They never witnessed the sacrifices, the lonely nights, the difficult mornings, the discipline no one applauded. They only saw the harvest. You remember the planting. That is why you never become arrogant. You remain grateful, because you understand that every blessing carries responsibility. Every victory creates another opportunity to serve. Every level of success demands another level of character. Protect your character more fiercely than your reputation. Reputation depends on other people's opinions. Character depends on your choices. One can be taken, the other can only be given away. Stand so firmly in your values that success never changes who you are. Let it reveal who you have become. And now, before this moment ends, I want you to make a promise. Not to me, to yourself +4, that you will no longer negotiate with fear. Promise that you will stop asking for permission to pursue the life that calls your name. Bostrom that you will protect your vision, even when no one else understands it. Bostrom that you will keep learning when progress feels slow. Promise that you will stay disciplined when motivation disappears. Bofferes that you will become the kind of person who creates opportunities instead of waiting for them. Because the future is not written by those who hesitate. It is written by those who decide. Today is that decision. Right now is that moment, not someday, not when everything feels perfect. Now, take the first step, then another, then another. Trust that clarity grows through movement. Believe that strength is built through resistance. Understand that greatness is earned through consistency. And remember this, whenever doubt tries to convince you to turn around. The mountain ahead may be steep, but the view from the summit will always justify the climb. The storm may be loud, but it cannot silence a person who has discovered their purpose. The road may be long, but every meaningful destination has always belonged to those willing to keep walking. One day, you will look back at this version of yourself with gratitude, not because life suddenly became easy, but because this was the day everything changed. This was the day you stopped surviving and started creating, the day you stopped wishing and started becoming, the day you stopped waiting for permission and started leading your own life. And when the world asks you how you found the courage to keep going, when everything seemed uncertain, you will smile, not because the journey was easy, but because you finally understood the truth that had been calling your name all along. The opportunities were waiting. The purpose was waiting. The abundance was waiting. The life you were born to live was waiting. It was never waiting for a better economy, better circumstances, better connections, or a better version of fate. It was waiting for one person. It was waiting for the moment you chose belief over fear, discipline over excuses, vision over comfort, and action over hesitation. So rise. Walk forward with unwavering confidence. Build with relentless discipline. Lead with courage. Dream without limits. Become the person your future recognizes. Because somewhere beyond today's uncertainty, beyond today's struggles, and beyond today's limitations, your destiny is standing with open arms. It has only one message left to say. I'm waiting for you.